Hello friends, welcome to CSS tutorial. In this video we are going to, in this sub-series we are going to look at CSS Box, and in this very first video we will talk about basics of CSS Box. So the CSS Box helps you position an element in the browser window. So that's why we use CSS Box. CSS treats every HTML element in its own box. So the element can be anything, be it a paragraph or a h1 tag, whatever it is. CSS treats every HTML element as a box, or the element is placed inside a box. We may not be seeing the box because by default there will not be any border, so we may not see the box, but CSS treats all HTML element contained within a box. Some important properties are border. So box border separates one box from the other one. And here if you see, the center part is the content of the HTML element. So if it is a h1 tag, and if h1 tag contains a text called heading title, then heading title will be the HTML element content. And border, if you see here, we shown that with a yellow highlight, and let's assume that there are two HTML element placed side by side. So you can think of a table row and table data, and if you think table data, we know that table data will be placed side by side. Similarly, you can imagine this picture as one box on top of another one. So if that's the case, we can think of two paragraph or two list item element which is placed one top of another one. So in both the cases, if you see, when we place border, it will separate each element's border. So border separates one box from another one. So when you place a border, we can easily segregate one element from another one. Margin. So here if you see, this is the margin area. So the margin will be usually added from the border. So if you see here, this is a top margin, right side margin, left, and bottom, right? So margin, so border is one of the property of the CSS box, margin is another one property. So margin, that's nothing but a gap that spans outwards from border, helps to avoid boxes colliding with each other. So if we don't have any margin, and if elements are placed side by side with say for example 4 pixel border width, then these two border will collide with each other if there is no margin. So that's what here we are talking about. Margin helps to avoid boxes colliding with each other. Boxes in the sense, we can even state a box border, or even without margin, if two table data is placed side by side, the border will collapse with the next one, or the both border will get merged. Padding, so that's one more property. Gap between the border and the content of the element. Say for example, this is the h1 element, and if you say padding, this border from content it will go outward, or we can state from border this is the distance, inward distance. So if you take border as a reference and top, if you specify as a margin, that's a outward distance, and if you specify padding, that's a inward distance, and that tells where the actual HTML element content should begin, right? So that's all we have to know about the box. The important properties are border, so we can specify border color, width, all the stuff. Then margin that spans outward from the border, useful to avoid border colliding with each other. Then this padding, this will be useful to have a gap between the border and the actual HTML element. Otherwise, the HTML element may be tightly packed with the border, or sometimes, say for example, if this is the border and if we are forming a heading, let's state you are typing a letter F, it may collide with the border. So if you add some padding, then if border is here with some padding, the letter F with will appear like this if we apply only the top side padding. But if you apply padding on all four sides, then the same letter F will appear like this. You see, there are gap in all sides. So that's all here in this introduction. Thank you for watching. Bye. There is no demo in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.